In this video, we're going to set out to do basically the same thing we did in the last video, which is do conversions. The big difference between this video and the last video is that sometimes you can't get them done based on the information you have. Sometimes you can't get them done in one step. You have to do in multi-steps. And so here we're going to go ahead and do some conversions that you might have to take more than one step. So let's do this one. 310 centimeters. You have a measurement of 310 centimeters, but you want to know how many feet that is. You have a better concept of feet than centimeters, right? So what we need to know is the relationship between centimeters and feet. Okay, but let's say we don't have the relationship between centimeters and feet, but we do have the relationship between inches. 1.0 inches equals to 2.54 centimeters. Okay, well that would be good if our question was just asking how many inches, because we have centimeters here and then we have inches. But this doesn't give us feet. But we do know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So the plan here is to turn, using this equality, make a conversion factor that'll turn centimeters into inches. Then once you have inches, you can go ahead and make a conversion factor that will turn inches into feet, which is going to take 2 steps. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to show you 2 ways of doing it, so you can kind of see. So there's 310 centimeters. We make our little conversion factor thingy here. And 310 centimeters, we want centimeters to cancel. We're going to use this equality to turn centimeters to inches. Centimeters on the right side has a 2.54 with it, so we're going to go ahead and put the 2.54 centimeters on the bottom. Once again, the reason why we put the 2.54 centimeters on the bottom is so the centimeters here will cancel with the centimeters here. Whatever the units are here end up over here. So now we're going to go ahead and take the other side of our equality, 1.0 inches, and go ahead and put them here. So a reminder from the last video, we could have put 2.54 centimeters on top and 1.0 inches on the bottom, but that wouldn't have given us anything productive because nothing would have canceled. So we know that we need to put centimeters on the bottom. So we can do this conversion and go ahead and get inches out of this. If I go ahead and do this, now my centimeters cancel. All right, centimeters on top here, divide by the centimeters on the bottom here, and they cancel. I'll take 310 multiplied by 1 divided by 2.54. And if I go ahead and take my calculator to do that, 310 times 1 is 310 divided by 2.54. What I get is 122 inches. I'll put this down as 122 inches. Okay, so that's kind of what I call an intermediate result. That's not what I want, but it's given me, an answer. Now I want to go ahead and turn those 122 inches, I want to turn them into feet. And so once again, we now do a second conversion where we go ahead and take the second equality. The 12 inches is going to go on the bottom. Once again, because we have inches here, we want inches on the bottom. So we're going to bring the 12 inches on the bottom. The units come here and the numbers come with it. And on the other side is 1 foot, so I put the 1 foot on top here. And so what I'm going to do here now is take my 122, multiply by 1, divided by 12. And that's going to be my numerical part of my answer. The units cancel. What I get is 122 times 1 is 122, divided by 12, and that's going to give me 10.2. So I'm going to end up with 10.2 feet. And that is going to be my answer. Okay? So all it was the same thing we did in the last video. We just did it twice. We turned our centimeters to inches. Then once we had inches, we turned our inches into feet. Okay? The second way I'm going to show you how to do this is all doing it in one step. You might not want to do this right now, but I'm just going to show you this so you can see eventually when the numbers have more, the problems get hairier and they get more calculations involved. You can kind of organize them and do it in a way that is organized. You can check to make sure that your work is okay and do it in one shot. So I have 310 centimeters here, and I was going to put the 1.0 inches on top here, 2.54 centimeters on the bottom, right? So we're going to do just as we did here, except that instead of getting this intermediate calculation, what we're going to do is we're going to continue this. Oh, let me go ahead and get rid of that. We're going to continue that line, put another little bar right there, and put our second conversion factor right here. So I want inches to cancel. So we know that at this point the centimeters would have canceled. Let me go ahead and do that. And our units would have been inches at this point. But we don't want inches, we want feet. So let's go ahead and put it so that the inches cancel also. So 12 inches go on the bottom, so they cancel. The 1 foot goes on top here. And so now we do all our calculations here all in one shot, and our answer should be in feet because inches have canceled and centimeters have canceled. So this is the same calculations as up there, just that we're going to do them all in one shot. And basically what we're going to do is going to take 310 times 1 times 1 again, divide by 2.54, and divide again by 12. So each time that we deal with the bottom, any number in the denominator, we're going to divide. Okay, and then divide. Another way you can do it is multiply the two together, then divide the total. But whatever you do, don't divide this one, then multiply this one without using parentheses, because then that's like moving this 12 up to the top. And let's see, if I take 310 multiplied by 1 twice, that gives me 310. Then I divide by 2.54, then I divide again by 12, I get, guess what, I get 10.2. So I get the same answer. Because really it's the same math. We just did it in one step as opposed to 2 steps. 10.2 feet. And there you go. There's your answer. All right, so both of these are equivalent. Okay, let's do another problem. We're always using, I've been using a lot of linear units, feet and miles and centimeters, and then you did one with kilograms, but let's use something a little different because this works with just about anything. Okay? Anything that you can put metric units to, or any units that work basically. So let's say that you want to know how much 100 megaseconds are. 100 megaseconds. You might want to know, well, how many years is that? How many years is 100 megaseconds? You'll recall the prefix mega means a million. Right, so we have that 1 megasecond. Since it's a megasecond, that means it's a million seconds. And I'm going to write this down in scientific notation, so I have to write million. 1 times 10 to the 6th. A million times 10 to the 6th. Seconds. Okay, the S is seconds. All right, so if I have a megasecond is 1 times 10 to the 6 seconds, that still doesn't give me years. I know that there's got to be a relationship between years and seconds. We don't know it off the top of our head, but we do know that there's certain time frames, right? I'm gonna give you one, and we're gonna make an assumption that 1 year. This is not always true, depending on whether it's a leap year or not. 1 year equals to 365 days. Okay, it's actually 365 and a quarter. I guess I could use that, but I don't think this is going to be even big enough to make that valid. So, but basically, this equality here allows you to make a conversion factor between years and days. So if you knew how many days you had, you can convert it to years. Right? Whenever you have an equality between two things, 2 units, then you can convert one unit to the other. And I'm going to write these over here so that they don't take up all our space at the bottom. So we got 365 days. So we still don't know the relationship between days and seconds, but we do know that there are 24 hours in 1 day, right? So 1 day equals to 24 hours. Most people know that, right? And then this would allow us to, if we knew hours, we could turn to days. Then once we knew days, we could turn to years. Then we can get our answer for that. But we have to turn the seconds into hours. So we know that in 1 hour, there are 60 seconds. And in one, I'm sorry, 60 minutes. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. 60 minutes. And in 1 minute, there are 60 seconds. So as you can see, we have 5 different equalities here, allowing us to make 5 different conversion factors, which will help us to turn our, in this case, megaseconds into seconds, then seconds into minutes, then minutes into hours, then hours into days, then days into years, and that'll answer our question. So sometimes you have to do several steps. But you know what? This is units that we haven't used before. These are time units versus length or mass. You do the same thing, right? You write it down you're given, 100 megaseconds. And then you go ahead and you cancel out units. We want the megaseconds to cancel out. So 1 megasecond goes on the bottom. The 1 times 10 to the 6th seconds goes on top. And we get 100 times 1 times 10 to the 6th is going to give you 1 times 10 to the 8th. And that's because 100 is 1 times 10 to the 2nd. So yeah, add the exponents together. You can do it in the calculator. It should give you the same answer. So we got 1 times 10 to the 8th seconds. Now let's convert the 1 times 10 to the 8th seconds into, we can turn seconds into minutes. We want seconds to cancel, so the 60 seconds go on the bottom, 1 minute goes on top, and that's going to give us 1 times 10 to the 8th, 1 times 10 to the 8th divided by 60. That's going to give us 1.67 times 10 to the 6th minutes. Okay, so our seconds cancel, leaving us with minutes. And then now that we have minutes, we can turn those into hours. Use a conversion factor so that we get rid of minutes. 60 minutes goes on the bottom, and 1 hour goes on top. So the minutes cancel. So we take our 1.67 times 10 to the 6th divided by 60. That gives me 2.78 times 10 to the 4th. 2.78 times 10 to the 4th. And the units for that is hours. In other words, it looks like 27,800 hours. We can convert that now into days, because in 24 hours, that is 1 day. So take 2.78 times 10 to the 4th divided by 24, and you get 1157. 1157 days. Now, how many years is 1157 days? Well, 1 day is 365. 1 year is 365 days. So once again, we want, notice how I fill in the bottom first to show that the days are going to cancel. So our days are going to cancel here, just like the hours did here. I forgot to cancel that out. And that's 1 year. Every year is 365 days. So I'm going to take the 1157 and I'm going to divide by 365, and that'll give me my answer. Divided by 365, that gives me 3.17. 3.17 years. So in 3.17 years, if you want to figure out what 0.17 years is, and that'll tell us how many months and days, that would be 100 megaseconds. Okay, and that's how you do that one. It took us 5 steps. I don't know if I should set up. Well, I'll go ahead and set it up here so you can see, if we just did it all kind of in one calculation. I think I can fit it all in. We start off with, go ahead. I'll do it in a different color so that you can see. Okay, I need the pen. 100 megaseconds. And then we said 1 times 10 to the 6th seconds over 1 megasecond. I'm going to continue this line. So our megaseconds cancel there. And then 1 minute is 60 seconds. So our seconds cancel here. And then 1 hour over 60 minutes. So our minutes cancel there. Let me go ahead, undo that and do it better. I'm writing on a little tablet and sometimes not exactly sure which side goes up and down. Then the next conversion factor was 1 day over 24 hours. 1 day over 24 hours. And that would cancel our hours there. And then we know that there's 365 days per year. So the days would cancel. And we would get an answer here with our units being years, because all the other units have canceled out, right? Megaseconds, seconds, minutes, hours, days. And if I were to go ahead and take 100 multiplied by 1 times 10 to the 6th, multiplied times 1, 1, 1, 1, divided by 60, divided by 60, divided by 24, divided by 365, I get 3.17 years. So this is, when there's several steps, this is kind of a nice way of doing it. Okay, but you can do it this way too, and you can get your intermediate calculations. These are your intermediate answers. When I started learning this, I like getting my intermediate answer so I can see what this value would be in different units. Then when I got better, I was like, okay, I don't need the intermediate calculations. But at first I liked doing it this way on top. That way I knew what the intermediate answer was and see if it made sense. Okay. Okay, last one on this video. And this one's going to be one that we have done in the kind of the quick and dirty method for the conversions with the metric system. So this one right here, what I've got is, let's see, 0.0018 hectoliters. And I want to turn them into milliliters. How I measured 0.0018 hectoliters, I don't know. But I got that measurement, but we want to find out how many milliliters it is. So what we learned in the previous lesson on the metric system is that you can convert, one prefixed unit into another. And you just have to kind of count how they go up and down the chart. So, if you looked at the chart there, there's hecto right below kilo, hecto, and then below hecto is deca. Then there's your base unit, right, which doesn't have a prefix. Then there's the deci, centi, and milli. And so to turn hecto to milli, you got to basically turn it first to deca, then the base unit, then deci, then centi, then milli. In other words, you're going down the chart, which means you're going to move the decimal to the right. Because remember, doctor is DR. When you go down, the decimal goes to the right. And we're going to bring it down 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or at least we're going to move the decimal to the right 5 times. So the way we did it in the quick and dirty method was this. Here's our number, 0.0018. I'm going to move it 5 times to the right because right here, this is what it told me. Oops, 5 times and to the right. Okay, so I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've run out of digits, so I'm going to put another one, 5. So I have to insert the 0. Basically, it's going to give me 180 milliliters. Now, that all seems nice and easy. Okay. Some people have issues with that, have a hard time with it, but it does seem nice and easy. However, it's not the formal way of doing this, and if you can do it and get away with it, great. But a lot of times people want you to show them your work. So let me go ahead and show you how you would show them your work on this. Okay. If you want to do it really quick, that's fine. But if you want to show someone your work, this is how you would do it. Okay. And this is in the multi-step video example because let's see, I'll put it again here. Hectoliters. How many milliliters is that? Because actually this works best if you actually do this in 2 steps. And here's why. You could get the relationship between hectoliters and milliliters, and I will tell you right now, because I've done this for years, it turns out that there's 100,000 milliliters in a hectoliter. Right? So 1 hectoliter is equal to 100,000 milliliters. And we could do this with just that. But, you know, that's me giving you this. Now, would you know this? I mean, are you going to memorize how many milliliters are in a hectoliter and how many milliliters are in a deciliter and how many milliliters are in a kiloliter, how many milliliters, then how many centiliters are? You know, there's just too many combinations. The easiest way to do these metric conversions is to remember just what the prefixes mean. What does hecto mean? What does milli mean? Remember, hecto means 100, milli means 1,000th. Because once you know that, then all you have to do is compare it to the base unit. 1 hectoliter, since a hectoliter means 100, and a hectoliter is one of those bigger units than the base unit. 1 hectoliter means 100 liters. Okay. What about a milliliter? A milliliter is 100th of a liter. 1,000, sorry. Milli means 1,000th. So 1 milliliter is, I'll put it here, 1/1000th of a liter. Now, once again, we don't like it with fractions or decimals, right? But we do know that milli means 1,000th, so we can remember this. All you have to do is remember what milli means and what hecto means. You can come up with these relationships. Now, we can get rid of the 1/1000 by multiplying this by 1,000, like I did earlier with this in the previous video. I did with the centimeters. I multiply that by 100. This one by 1,000 because this is 1/1000. We want to get rid of that fraction. When we multiply both sides by 1,000, you end up with 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 liter, which is the way that most people think of this relationship. Okay. So we got 2 relationships, a relationship between liters and hectoliters, and liters and milliliters. So we got the relationship between the base units. And the reason we know these relationships is because we know what milli means and what hecto means and what all those prefixes mean. You guys really should learn what these prefixes are. So now what we can do then is basically you're given hectoliters, we can turn hectoliters to liters in the first step. And once you have liters, you can use this equality to turn liters to milliliters. And you don't have to do a whole lot of memorizing. You didn't have to know about this, but we'll see how it works out. Right? So let's go ahead and write down our given 0.0018 hectoliters. Let's convert that to liters, because we have this relationship. There's 1 hectoliter goes on the bottom, so the hectoliter can cancel. The other side is the 100 liters goes on top. And so now what I'm going to get is 0.0018 hectoliters is the same times 100. Oh, by the way, let's cancel out the hectoliters. 0.0018 times 100 is going to give you 0.18 liters. All right, plug in the calculator. 0.0018 multiplied by 100 is 0.18 liters. Now that I have liters, I can use this relationship between liters and milliliters. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put, once again, I want the liters to cancel, so I put the liters on the bottom. I want milliliters to then go on top, because the right side went on the bottom, the left side goes on top. 1,000 milliliters. So I'm going to take that 0.18 multiplied by 1,000. My liters cancel. 0.18 times 1,000 is going to give me 180 milliliters. All right. And if I go back to over here, you'll notice that that is the same answer we got right here. Yeah, it seems like this one's easier, and if you can get away with it, that's fine. But once again, if people want you to show them your work, this is the way to do it. Okay, and when you're going from one prefixed unit, let me go ahead and change the color on here. If you're going from, oh boy, one prefixed unit to another prefixed unit, instead of trying to figure out what the relationship is between hectoliters and milliliters, or maybe decaliters and milliliters, or decaliters and centiliters, or microliters and megaliters, instead of doing that, go to hectoliters to liters, right? Base unit. Right? And that's what we have here. Because that hecto right there, that's where you get the 100 from. And then once you have liters, take a second step to turn into milliliters. That's where we get the 1,000 from. You end up multiplying by 100 to turn hectoliters to liters, and then you multiply it by 1,000 to turn the liters into milliliters. Okay? All right, great. That's it for these videos.